Ghosts, UFOs, alien encounters, and all things paranormal. These are real stories from real people. This is Fear of the Unknown. Hey, Whetu, how you going?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good. We're going to talk quietly because the kids are asleep upstairs.
Yeah, one of them's sick.
I will try to keep it down.
Sounds more mysterious like this. Wow. Hi.
So you grew up in New Zealand.
I did indeed.
Actually, we've got an awesome story coming up, but I want to start with your childhood and your roots. So when you were a little kid, what did you believe in?
Now, logically, I didn't believe in much, but my family, and me at the time, were religious, so there was that.
Yeah.
But I was scared of aliens, but I knew they weren't real.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, bullshit, they're not real. They probably are.
Yeah.
And they're out to get me. But then, yes. And then, I was scared of ghosts and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, just typical stuff. And I guess the religious aspect came into it, because it's like, it's a ghost and a demon. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I know this is a topic. I mean, I've known you since year 9.
Yes.
And I think we've brought up this topic maybe thousands of times.
Yeah.
The Taniwha.
Oh, you've got to watch out for him.
Tell me about it.
It's a mythological sea monster, I think.
Yeah.
Or lurks in rivers and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah. So if you're being a little shit and there's a river nearby, so you keep that up, the Taniwha will get you. So, yeah.
Did you ever go to school and one of the kids are like, "Oh, last night I saw a Taniwha and he had big fangs and an orange duck." And then you're like, "Nah, bullshit, my dad says his duck is green, you egg."
That probably happened. I think that was one of those ones that's those wives' tales that, when you're little, so, you'd be 10 and some 5-year-old would come up and be like, "Hey, if you do this, a Taniwha will get you." So, yeah. It probably happened.
I remember when you first told me about it, it reminded me heaps of what this other Filipino kid told me.
Yeah.
Of he never said its name. I learnt later on it's called aswang, spelt aswang.
Sick.
And it's this creature, just a big scary creature that waits in trees for naughty kids. Yeah, and there's this doco about it. I'm not sure if it has similar roots, but a lot of these countries that have folklore of monsters, a lot of the time it's say the Spanish come in and they want to control the people. They convert them to Catholicism, and then they just teach them about these monsters that will get them to basically enforce curfews.
Yeah, right.
And they'll just,
off the back of that, the Taniwha thing, as ridiculous as it is, Japanese mythological creatures scare the shit out of me because they're so plausible. And it'll be, if you see billowing water around some rocks, there's probably this very specific monster that's down there, or one in a cave, like the Japanese Ring movie. Was it they went to a cave or something and they mentioned a monster by name or something? But
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of a different Japanese movie.
They're so good at terrifying.
Yeah.
But what you just said, it reminds me of the Japanese monster called Kappa.
Yeah.
And it's basically half turtle, half man.
Yeah, see that
and
shit.
He's got a bowl. The top of his head is shaped like a bowl, and it's always going to be filled with river water. Otherwise, he'll die. So he hangs out in the rivers, and he'll rape women, and he likes. It's just weird.
Sick.
They have a profile where it's they're good and bad, where they do things like they might eat children and rape women, but at the same time, they love playing Go. You know that game Go, that traditional old Japanese game.
No.
And they're good at bone setting. As in, they've mastered the art of bone setting. And they say that if you come across a kappa, a way that you can defeat it is by bowing to it. And because it's obliged to be polite, it'll bow back and all the water will fall out of its...
He did not think that one through.
Yeah. And sumo, they're into sumo.
I'm impressed he can rape and keep the water in his bowl.
Yeah, there's a
steady head.
There's a famous movie. Actually, it was a mainstream movie, and it's like a softcore porn called Underwater Love, and it's about a kappa.
Did we watch this on SBS when we were 15 by any chance?
This week on Eat Carpet. Remember that?
You're speaking my language. Yeah. Filthy Europeans.
Yeah. I learned everything I know now, though, from them.
All my secret moves are from SBS from 1998, man.
So aliens, here's the thing, little kids and aliens, it's...
My one's pretty specific as well.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
So I lived in a place called One Tree Point in Bream Bay in Northland in New Zealand. Really nice harbour with this like massive sort of like small mountain range on the opposite side of the harbour to us. In really small place, only a few thousand people, mostly farmland. So there wasn't much light around. It like outside, it was dark as shit.
Yeah.
Now, we had a little bit of a problem because like I was about 100 metres from the beachfront from our front door with nothing between us. So it was just like black and then these hills. Right. And we lived in this weird little unit for a few years. It was just me and my dad most of the time. It was actually a motor camp, like a caravan park, but it only got used for the Christmas holidays. So all year long, it was just me and our neighbour. Yeah. And then the landlord across the farm, and the rest of it was deserted except for the 6 weeks of summer holidays. Then it packed up, but the rest of the time it was just like this open field. We didn't have a toilet in the place, so if I needed to go to pee at night and it's like midnight and I wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm a 10-year-old boy, it's completely dark, I have to walk to the toilet block over there. So I had to like go out in the dark where there wasn't any light and like go to the toilets there. You could really clearly see like satellites in the sky because of the lack of light pollution. So put all of that together, and I watched way too many alien movies as a kid and liked them at the time. But then when I'm having a piss at 1 a.m. in pitch black darkness and I can see these things whizzing around in the sky, I'm like, yes, shit me off.
Yep. All of a sudden, you're not like the Terminator. You feel more like a supple 10-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Fresh for the
going peeking. For a pee in the middle of the night.
Did you say that you imagined a specific alien or that you had a specific fear?
I think early on there was this kids show. I can't remember what it was called, but it was like a 4-part mini-series of like, I thought it was really high budget and like we could set design and costumes. I've recently looked it up. It probably cost them about $100. Yeah. It was shit. Yeah. But it had this like wicked looking Predator sort of rip-off alien, and I watched it when I was about 6 or 7. Right. Yeah, so I was convinced that he was probably hanging around the bushland by our house for a bit, but I knew he wasn't. But then I'm like, you get those unwanted thoughts like, hey, I'm walking in the dark, I better think of this disgusting monster. Well, actually, I remember watching the final episode of it, and you finally saw the monsters like full form. And I was just watching it, and my dad walked in the room. You know my dad, he's a pretty out there tough guy.
He's a spirited individual.
Yes.
He's a tough guy.
Yeah, he's a big tough guy. Well, he's a small tough guy. He walked in the room and he saw this monster with like this drool hanging out of its mouth, and he just looks at the screen and looks at me. He's like, "That's fucked." Then he walks out back out the room, and it's just like, okay, so it is. Yeah, it was pretty scary like, as a kid, and he's just like, "Fuck this."
Dude, that reminds me of a show I saw when I was a kid that had a similar effect. Yeah. And everyone I speak to, no one remembers it, and I've only found
one of those. Yeah, I'm the only one who knows this show. So.
What's it called?
I can't remember.
Okay, well, the one it could be, maybe it's the same, but it's a show that was made in the 70s. It was one of those old serialized shows that they used to call, and it's called The Naggin and the Stars, right?
Ooh, don't know that one.
And it's about this kid that goes into the bush, and he meets this like Aboriginal monster in a river called a Naggin, and it looks like this kind of like frog-faced weird monster thing that speaks to him in a charming old Australian accent, like, "Hello, young man,"
Yeah.
Anyway, I just remember clearly this episode where he brings him into his lair, and he basically is able to phase shift through this rock, and the kid is gone for like 20 minutes. He's jumping through the walls and having fun, and so once he leaves and says goodbye to the Naggin, he goes home and like 5 weeks have passed.
Yeah, right.
And I just remember every night just thinking about that, just that face.
Oh, man.
Because it essentially like kidnapped him.
Yeah. It didn't do anything to him, though. It just took away the time.
And I can't find it anywhere. All I found is a commercial for it.
Yeah, okay.
I'll put up a link for it.
The Boy from Andromeda. 6 episodes.
I know that shit.
You watched that? Yeah. Really? Oh, shit.
Yeah, that was sick.
Let's look at that monster. They had this weird triangular crystal thing that they had to stick together. Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's not what I remember at all. Well, there's the picture of it.
Do you know, what I love about... Because I love horror...
Yeah.
But what I love about horror is like the simple design stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I do appreciate like the H.R. Geiger design of like Predator and Xenomorphs.
Yeah.
But the thing that I fucking love is this one-off prank channel, and it's called Owlman. Check it out on your phone. Just type in Owlman.
Yeah.
And it's just like a dude in a tuxedo, and he's got this giant owl head, and he hides in abandoned children's asylums and hospitals and stuff, and waits for people to come in, explorers and photographers.
Seen that.
And it's just, there's something so terrifying about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to come across that.
And all he does is that he slowly walks into a room that there are people there. And every single one of them just like screams and collapses on the ground. They don't try to fight back. They don't like, oh, hey man, like nice suit.
Yeah.
They're all just like shit themselves. And he just slowly walks out of the room, and that's it. And then there's a camera of them out the front of the hospital, and you just see them like just piss bolting out.
No.
So good.
Fuck.
And that's one of the things that like really caught my imagination as a kid about the greys. Such a simple design.
Yeah.
But there's something so uncanny about
just the visuals of the abduction from Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yeah.
Sort of set the benchmark for the greys.
Yeah.
But then, I got into the X-Files when it came out. Like, I was 10, I think. And I shouldn't have been watching it, but I did. I just thought it was cool, but I was scared shitless. But you know what happened? Some nights it would be just me and my mum. They kept moving it later and later because they were like, people were complaining, well, you can't put it on at like 9 o'clock. Kids are trying to watch it and shit. So they put it on at like 10:30 at night. It still had like killer ratings in New Zealand. Yeah. But I'd stay up and watch it, and Mum would be like, yeah, I'd watch it. And like, then suddenly she'd just be asleep. But she was purposely falling asleep when the credits started rolling, so she didn't have to watch it. So I'd watch it by myself. Right, so one night, it finished, and then a UFO documentary came on straight after it. There was this footage of this pure black triangle just flying through the sky. Looked pretty damn convincing. Right. And I was just like, oh, that settles it. It's real. And then I think it was later on into the series, I was like 13 or something, maybe 12. One of the early seasons, and it shows that crazy dude who goes after Scully. I can't remember his name. But
Smoking Man? Or is it the dude that looks like a Terminator?
I don't know. He gets abducted by greys, and it's like they show it was like the whole thing was just like out. It wasn't like trying to conceal them, or like they just went all out, and the first 10 minutes of it was an alien abduction. It's like, motherfucker, like, fuck this. Yeah. But I mean, that was a bit later of me scaring the shit out of myself. But, yeah.
So what do you think of aliens now?
I don't know. I think we'll find some kind of like shitty germ on the moons of Jupiter or something one day. I think we're a while off a proper life form. Yeah. They still scare the shit out of me. Mm-hmm. But I've discussed it with some guys at work occasionally, and it's like, yeah, we're all pretty skeptical of like greys and stuff for the most part. But at the same time, growing up with the whole thing and like horror movies and sci-fi, I really want it to be true. Yeah. I want them to be controlling like Area 51 and putting the president in power, and you know, they've got these secret elements that bend space. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't believe any one single story, but I kind of secretly, I'm like, man, I hope there's like aliens out there. Like, you know, just be sick.
Look, the part in me that loves to, I find the whole concept so entertaining. I allow myself to believe.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't, but I want it to be true.
Yeah. But especially for the sake of this podcast, you know, I immerse myself.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's like my get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
I just enjoy this world building of like all of the accounts, all of this.
I enjoy the story, all the stories that go with it. Like, I love conspiracy theories. I think they're pretty much all bullshit, but I love them. Yeah. Like, I go deep into them. Yeah, funnily as well, like, I'm not religious, but I'm actually a fan of the classic 50s to 70s sort of era. Like, there are a couple of religious movies, like the Moses one from the 50s.
Yeah, that's pretty...
Didn't really get into Ben-Hur, but, like, the Moses one, like, the production of it and the story.
It's like a good fantasy movie.
Yeah, it was, like, 3 hours long, which was, I think anyway, but I remember watching it as a kid. It's like, well, you know, I believed it at the time, but I saw it later on. It's like, this is fucking sick.
Dude, it has so many sick moments.
Yeah,
like, apart from the water parting scene, like the lady who's got her like rope caught under the sliding rock.
I don't remember that.
It's like, because they're depicting them building a huge, like a temple in someone's honor, and so there are these grease ladies who have to grease the ground before they drag the block over.
Yeah, right.
And so her belt is like a rope, and it gets caught underneath there, and everyone's like, stop it! And the slave driver's like, no, her blood will make wonderful mortar! And then Moses is like, no, I will not let that happen.
Yeah, I don't know, the whole thing, like conspiracy theories, like ghost stuff, I do get into it. I'm particularly skeptical.
Right.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe when you haven't experienced anything either.
Yeah, I mean, I debunked my own one, which I'm sure we'll touch on, the alien one.
Well, it's every single podcast we cover it, which is sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
You're, by the way, the first person I've ever heard talk about it.
Because I was convinced I had an encounter with an alien.
Tell that story.
Yeah. Oh, well, so basically, I was living in Scarborough, lived with my parents at the time, pushing 20 years sort of thing.
You'd have been like 15 or...
A bit older, yeah. I think we may have even been finished school by then, but around then. Yeah, so I was just sleeping really lightly for some reason, and then I just remember like hearing this whizzing sound of wind, and it didn't feel right. Like it sounded like, there's a tornado going off quietly in the next room, just whistling sort of sound. I was like, oh, that's a bit bloody weird. So I wake up and sort of sit up in bed, and then like bright white light everywhere. And yeah, just out of nowhere, clear as day, this like, it wasn't see-through like a ghost. It was there, but it was translucent, like top layers. It was sort of like, you look at those mesh white curtains, that are under curtains.
Did it look like pearls, in bubble tea?
No,
how it's got like a translucent outer layer and it gets more solid towards the center?
Yeah, like that. Yeah, like the outer layers were sort of like fluid on top of like a more solid underneath. Like I couldn't see through the whole thing, but the outer layers were like, I guess, this fluid sort of mesh. Yeah. Yeah, what perfect outfit to terrorize young men in their bedroom, I guess. Have you seen the movie Cocoon? Old 80s movie.
I know the movie you're talking about. I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah, aliens come and they drop there's these like cocoon pod things with aliens in them, and they're regenerating. Somehow these pod things wind up in a swimming pool or something at an old people home, and all these like 90-year-olds and shit, they're suddenly like de-aged by 30 years, and they're full of beans, but it's drained the life force of these aliens. Go look up these aliens on Google. I could see it. Was
he black?
White, all white, completely white. Right. Yeah, and its face was like quite wrinkly, and you could tell it had the big classic grey eyes, but it was just black slits, and like I could see details very clearly on its face, like wrinkly. It looked like one of these cocoon aliens sort of thing. And like I just remember like the wetness around its eyes, its eyelids. So I'm like, that's a tangible, real thing. It's not like a ghost sort of thing.
It's not like when I look away, it's going to start feeling like a dream.
No.
Because that's what happens to a lot of people when they have sleep paralysis. They'll remember it, but if you say describe it, their details are quite limited.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't know what sleep paralysis was at the time, so my perception of it was I never went back to sleep, because what happened was, that's what woke me up properly, was I felt a pressure on my legs, and it was like somebody had folded up when you have like a folded up towel or a blanket on the end of the bed, and there's just this pressure. It wasn't like someone holding my legs.
It was hands resting.
Overall pressure, yeah.
Right.
But when I woke up, this thing, it was its arms down, and it was like pushing down on the end of the bed, and it was putting pressure on my legs, like sort of trapping me there. It was like holding my feet or the end of my bed, pushing down on the blanket sort of thing, so I couldn't get up. And yeah, I remember seeing that and then like, what a scary dream. But then like I looked and I was like, the details I mentioned. Yeah. I remember looking at it and like, that's a really detailed looking face you got there. Interesting. Because, I thought like my mum was like waking me up like, mate, you're snoring, shut up. Like, you know, oh no, it's just this scary alien in my dream. So, anyway, let's sit up in bed. oh, I can't move. Why is that? Like, then my heart just went like popped, like completely jolted me completely awake. Obviously, I was in sleep paralysis, so this was actually a dream. But to me, my perception at the time, I jolted completely awake. I'm looking at this thing clear as day. It's looking at me. It's holding my feet down. Just pretty much thought I was going to die.
I remember you saying it lasted for a good while, like 15 minutes or something.
Yeah. But then when I remember it, it's like, it's really quick, like a dream. Maybe that's the memory of it, but like it felt like it was going on for a long time. Mm-hmm. And it was just staring at me and I couldn't talk because I was just like scared shitless. But
Did you say that you like covered your face with a blanket or something?
That's coming next is, basically like I was just like, I'm done for it. If I'm going out like this by some alien, I don't want to look at it. Like I was just like, pure fear. I just pulled the blanket up over my face and like slid down in my bed, and then like I was like, oh god, and I was just like thinking all the thoughts that you think when you're gonna die. It's like, damn, I can't do this, can't do that, it's not gonna all that whizzing past. Oh damn, I'm dying. Or not, or they're gonna, are they gonna go take me to their ship and like do weird shit to my butt, or
butt stuff.
Yeah.
Look, man.
Yeah. The light subsided away. Mm-hmm. I didn't go back to sleep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I got up. I heard my parents and brother downstairs having breakfast. I come down. I'm just like white as a ghost. Just like, what the hell's
Guess
wrong?
what just fucking happened to me?
Yeah. Then I tell them, and they're just like, what the fuck? Yeah. That was that one.
Look, man, have you had any experience after that, like or similar?
Yeah. I think I had another one where I was in bed and the shadows of leaves on my window from the tree, on my wall from the tree outside, turned into little weird figures, like demon sort of shadows. They still looked like gum trees, but they turned into little guys. Yeah. But it was like dreamlike, and it wasn't particularly scary. I'm just like, whoa, that's weird. What's going on? I'm fully awake. Whoa. I think I just fell back asleep. Yeah. But yeah, I had this. It was like something was in my mattress. And it was like poking at my back and like prodding me, like, and I knew it was an animal, and then I just went to sleep. And I was
so it kind of felt like cat's paws or something.
Yeah, or like something like nuzzling into me, like a cat. Like I didn't feel sinister particularly; it just felt weird. And I was like, "Whoa, shit!"
How old were you at this time?
It's about the same age. This was after the alien thing, and all right. Yeah, I don't know how much. Don't listen, Mum. Yeah, I'd smoked a bit of marijuana the night before, actually quite a lot.
Yeah, you injected a weed.
Yeah, I injected a weed.
Lucifer's lettuce.
Yeah. Speaking of Lucifer, met the bloke on the next one. No, not really, but like, basically, like, I had the wind sensation. This was only weeks after this one.
Like a whooshing sound.
And I woke up and I could see like the effects of wind swishing around my room. Okay. So this shadow thing happened again, and I was like, oh, it's those little dudes, man, they're back. Got bigger and bigger and bigger. Next thing you know, it's a billowing smoke demon in my room, as tall as the roof, and it's just like coming for me, crawls up over my bed when it's about to get me, and I'm like trying to yell out to someone. I was like trying to struggle. You know what happens? It ends and it starts again. And it kept happening. It happened like
repeating itself
10, 20 times, the same thing over and over. And then I'd try and get out, and then I just woke up and it was the morning.
Wow.
But I was awake. This was not like asleep. I was completely awake.
Right.
Your eyes open and stuff. And it looked clear as day. The alien one was pretty realistic to me. These ones, there was something off. I'm like, nah, that was a weird nightmare.
Right.
I had another one not long after that. Now, you remember the game Resident Evil? Yeah. I got into those quite a bit. Yeah. I had this dream, and it was really similar, but it was like in my house, in my living room in Scarborough, and I'd just walk up to the wall. I think I fell asleep on the couch, and I like woke up, and it was daytime, but it was night. I was dreaming, but to me it was daytime. I go up and there's these weird paintings on the wall with strange captions, and that's one of the puzzles in the game.
Yeah.
So I look over in the corner and there's a fireplace there where the window is. I'm like, oh, there's some guy in a suit there. And he's just looking at me. Then I look at the TV and that fireplace with this guy in a suit is looking at me on the TV. And I look back and he's looking at me. I look back. I'm like, wait, I don't have a fireplace. Who the hell are you? Why are you on the TV? And he just like stared at me with like, he looked, this disgusting, just sinister... Yeah, actually, I feel really grossed even saying it, but I was like, man, he wasn't doing anything weird.
Yeah.
It was just like, why aren't you moving? Why aren't you talking to me?
Yeah.
Why can't I
Just
talk?
menacing.
Yeah, it was like he was smiling, but why are you here? And why is all this stuff happening?
Yeah.
And then I was just like, okay, this is fucked. This isn't happening. I'm like about to jolt out of my sleep, but I felt like all right, no, this is fucked. It happened again, and then he kept staring at me, and it got like more menacing, and every time it looped over, it got quicker and quicker and quicker, and he got more and more sinister until he was like this. His face was all contorted and weird.
And so you're experiencing
it's like this loop,
this repeated loop.
Every time I flipped out, it would loop around. And then it would like, this time it ramped up and it started going, doom, 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 doom. It's like happening, like quicker than I can react to.
Right.
And then like I woke up and it was nighttime and I'm just, it's a dream. And then I'm like, that's like that other, I sort of put two and two together. I'm like, this is the same sort of thing. And I'm getting the wind thing. Just what else is a guy to do? He goes on the internet and I started reading about it. I read like alien abductions, seeing ghosts, seeing, dead relatives walk down the stairs and come sit with you and things like that. The people at the ends of your bed, because I
know this sounds stupid, but if you ever feel, compelled to do it, you should try regressive hypnotherapy.
Yeah, right. Have you done it?
No, not myself. I haven't.
Why are you recommending that?
Do you know why? Because there is this, stories about people that have had alien abductions. Usually their memory of it is quite kind of quick. It was over in a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
And there's like a version of events that they've got, but maybe for some reason they got PTSD and they don't know why. They're like, I can comprehend it. I can understand that it was scary, but why am I fucked up? So they undergo regressive hypnotherapy and they're asked to recall that event, and suddenly the story is completely different.
Yeah, right.
And it goes for a lot longer. So everything you've been saying is so fucking fascinating.
Yeah.
Because and this is I've had my head in this for the last couple months or so. And I'm seeing like a grand unifying theory when it comes to aliens, ghosts, all this paranormal shit that seems to be the side of it that seems to be quite, like I said, menacing, or like it's fucking with you.
Yeah.
And it happens a lot to children, I guess, or people that are a very weakened mental state, or they're very open. I think
that was me at the time. I believed in a lot of that stuff, and I sort of dabbled in reading about different spiritual beliefs and stuff, and the tail end of religion, and supernatural all at the same time. But I was particularly unhealthy. I was drinking a lot. I was out all the time, out all night, no sleep.
That's the thing is, like, if you think, let's say, okay, I'm gonna put the concept out there. Let's say that you are a type of species that exists on a slightly different spectrum with slightly different needs, because every time people talk about aliens, it's either like they had this message of peace and goodwill, or it's just something weird. It's like it always sounds like a cover, or it sounds like bullshit.
Yeah.
But the one thing that always happens that is consistent is that they seem to like invoking or provoking fear. It's like fear gives some type of like feeding, they feed off fear in a way, and it kind of gives them a type of power. And if you want to look at a spiritual or religious point of view, let's say they're demons. Like, how would evil empower itself? By getting people to fear evil.
Yeah, well, everything I looked up spirituality-wise, I don't necessarily believe it.
Yeah.
But that was often the thing with like ghosts, menacing ghosts. That's what they want. That's what they want you to do. But, I think that's a pretty logical conclusion to jump to, because it's like that South Park episode where they're like, no, 9/11 wasn't a cover-up. It's just what happened. But what better thing to make everybody fear the government than to make them think that the government covered up 9/11?
Yeah.
It's just in, media, everything, the news and all that. It's all just invoking fear. Politics does, use xenophobia, racism, all that crap.
Because when you fear, you're arrested.
Yeah.
You can't...
You're irrational.
And you don't have the power to be proactive and to take control of your life because you're too consumed and concerned with like this boogeyman.
You're in fight or flight mode, instead of thinking, let's think this out.
Yeah.
I mean, that all makes sense to me.
You can't evolve.
Yeah.
So like
whatever's happening.
But the thing is that one theory I have is that sleep paralysis is like a type of abduction where like, because, so many people say that they've spoken to aliens, that it's this type of influence while you're sleeping that can be projected into your mind, and they sort of create a fearful situation and they feed off that. But sometimes people have an experience that is just, it's too real. That like, and the things that are red flags for me with what you said, that seems very different to the usual one, because traditionally there's like 4 monsters that everyone around the whole world has seen for hundreds of years. The Watcher, which is a black shadow, a hag, a hat man, and the demon, and they always put pressure on you.
Yeah.
What is strange with you is that you heard a sound that kind of roused you.
Yeah.
It was white. You could see its eyes, which no one ever can see their eyes.
So I could see its eyes, but he was squinting, but I could see him, but he was squinting it. I knew that they were large eyes.
This detail people never, ever, ever have. That's why I'm so glad I spoke to you, because like we've talked about it before, you have like this it's like a selective recall.
Yes.
Where you can recall like sometimes certain events you can recall like to crazy detail.
Yeah. Like last time I saw you, I was like, okay, so I moved into Summer Lakes Parade in Ballajura. We were walking over to your place. We went on the far side I know where the alleyway is.
We're like 14 at the time. So
yeah. This is like,
20 years ago.
20 years ago. And I remember there were 2 kids playing just in this bushland bit, and you went, hey, excuse me. And I was like, well, I remember like you were particularly well-mannered for a 15-year-old Paulo.
Yeah.
And I was like, this kid is too young to be scared of 2 dodgy-looking teenage boys. And he says, yeah. And you're like, hey, how do you get blah, blah, blah? And he gave us directions to your house. But it's just like, why the fuck do I remember that?
Yeah.
But I don't remember lots of important stuff or like...
I remember one thing from that, and this is like a stupid detail that no one will give a shit about this podcast.
Yeah.
But he used the word like adjacent. Or he said like this, and we were both like really impressed. It's like, well, man.
I didn't remember that, but I remember,
yeah. We were both like impressed. It's like, or perpendicular. Or
something like that. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, no shit.
That's weird.
Yeah, all I'm saying is, I remember really odd specific details, but I don't often remember like other stuff that's, if you're like, you need to do this tomorrow, I'll forget, but I'll remember an odd thing about a way a guy was standing or something. So I could draw that alien that I saw in really great detail.
Yeah.
Like its face, and details on it.
Because these things always fade. If it's something like a dream, it cannot stay in your brain for that long. Yeah. And it just sounds really, really suspicious to me, because what I feel like is that the whole concept of the boogeyman, right? It's one of those things that only when you're a kid you kind of fear this. But I hear from a few people that when they were a kid, they heard a voice from the closet. And it wasn't like a conversation. It was like just a sound. It's like they're testing the water.
Yeah.
They're saying, is this person susceptible to fear? And I believe that maybe like legends, like or mythologies of the boogeyman can start from that 1 in 1,000 people that, through time have said, I heard a fucking voice. Yeah. And it kind of, what you told me, these stories together, it's like you were being put through like a test. It's like, is this kid going to be a fear farm?
Interesting you say that, because I'm pretty sure, well, either what you're saying or sleep paralysis, but I've got a few things from when I was a kid. actually, when I first started doing music before I settled on, like, you know, the genre and my name, one of the first sort of logos I ran with, I always stuck like an upside down 4 in pictures of, like, I think even in the first Fetster picture, there was like an upside down 4 like faded into the background that only I knew was there.
Yeah.
Reason for that is I had a poster up on my wall from when I was little, and it was like, you know, numbers 1 through 9 or 10 or whatever. So I was about 5.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was always up late. By then, I didn't really get to sleep easily. I'd go in bed and I'd just lay there for ages, like thinking funny shit. I got really scared one night. I just felt uneasy, and I looked at the wall, and it was dark, but the number 4 was illuminating and flashing on this poster. And I called my parents in, and they're like, "It's the reflection from the TV." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Right. Now I'm looking at it, I'm like, I can see the reflection of the TV, but this number was just flashing and going unnatural colours and sort of coming out of the poster. Scared the shit out of me because it shouldn't be happening. It felt unnatural. It didn't feel right. Not long after, in the same room, so I was just scared of this number 4 on this poster.
Right.
But like, I stayed over these people's place. We house sat for them, and they had an Evil Dead 2 poster that he hates it to this day. You know, the one with the skeleton.
But he's got human eye.
Human eyes. That didn't scare me.
Yeah.
Like the movie Predator, Alien, I watched them real young.
Yeah.
They didn't scare me. I just thought they were cool. But this number 4, that was something I couldn't explain. I'm like, you know, you rationalize it as a kid. My parents were good like this. They're like, it's a suit. Look how it's made.
See, I try to do that with my kids.
Yeah, I remember you saying.
You cannot prepare your kids for something that's just like, you know, when something is inconceivable.
That's what that was.
It's like, think of the concept of infinity.
Yeah.
You know, and that can really fuck with people's heads.
Yeah. Notice like that story. That kid wasn't scared of that frog. He got scared. You got scared of him vanishing for 5 weeks.
Yeah.
What happened in 5 weeks? If it felt that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You got scared of that shit. And that 4 scared the shit out of me. So I started using it in a logo because I'm like, only I know this.
Yeah.
Thought it was cool. But
that's cool, man. I had no idea. And you'd write it on everything.
Yeah. No, I had an upside down and a 4 in a circle, but it looked like a satanic cross, but it was actually a 4.
Yeah.
So that was sort of like, it was like an in-joke for me. And I was just like, I put that on everything. But then I had another one. It was in the same room around the same time, and I remember like, I woke up in the middle of the night and was like, I feel a bit uneasy, man. Like, what's going on? It's like, actually, I feel really not cool. So like, I put my head under the covers, and I just saw this like face, this like sort of witches, like the classic hag in a hood, looking at me
under the covers.
Yeah, it wasn't there, but it was in my mind's eye.
Yeah. But I still sometimes get freaked out. Like if I watch a scary movie,
I do it to myself.
I'll turn the TV off and I'll just imagine above the TV like a fucking evil face appearing on the wall.
Yeah, I still do it to myself, and usually that's because I'm like, it's time to go to bed, mate. Like, yeah, if I stay up late a lot and work on the computer, I'll come downstairs and I'll start getting that feeling, and I just go back up at bedtime. Like, you know, I'm a 36-year-old man.
That's the great thing about being a rational adult. You can think your way out of it. But like when you're a kid, you have to fucking like scream out and call someone.
What I didn't like about this one was like I could see it. It wasn't there, but I shut my eyes and it was still there.
Yeah.
And then I opened them and they were there, and it wasn't changing with my eyes. So I was just like, what the fucking shit?
So, and that's what sleep paralysis-y sort of shit.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you can't move. And the thing is, you were able to cover your face, which is impossible when you're under sleep paralysis.
I think it was more dream state at that
like a
point.
dream blanket?
Yeah. Okay. But bouncing back onto the adult sleep paralysis, I got really interested in it, and I went looking for explanations, and then I found people telling sleep paralysis stories, and I was like, no fucking way. The being at the end of the bed. Yeah. I found forums and stuff and like random blogs.
I've never heard of a glowing white thing though.
I had other people having the loop. and the billowing smoke guy and the shadows and the wind whizzing. I found pretty much all of it. And other people who had sort of similar grey alien experiences, and they were pretty convinced it was sleep paralysis. And I had one, and it was like they got back from I think it was their auntie's funeral, and they sat down and they heard her door shut. She just sat down in the living room, heard her auntie's door shut.
Yeah.
Her auntie walks down the stairs, but like her colour is desaturated, and she's just like, "Why are you here?" Like, and she sat down and just looked at her, sat right next to her, and she goes, "I was trying to scream and move because this isn't meant to be happening."
Yeah.
Her husband was aware of her sleep paralysis and was just like, went over and put his hand on her shoulder, immediately snapped out of it and was like, "Yeah, gone." And he's like, "Oh, I could see you were like, your eyes were flicking about and stuff, and like, you know, I could tell you were paralyzed."
I always laugh, like, because I've seen footage of people, like, because there's so much footage of people, like, in the groups of a sleep paralysis attack, and they're just lying there, kind of like twitching and going,
I've sort of caught. Once I knew what it was, I started like, I'd wake up and was like, "Oh, this is happening again." All right, cool. And then I couldn't move, and like I'd yell out to my mum, but nothing would come out, and then it would just go away, and it just eventually went away after I realised what it was. But I'd still get hit by it even now. I had one, and I woke up, and it was like impossible for someone to be out the window, but like I could see a figure standing outside of the window. I was like, "Oh, someone's trying to," like the logical mind kicked in and was like, "Mate, there's someone trying to break into your house."
Yeah.
And then I couldn't move, and I was like, "Oh, it's sleep paralysis. There's no one there." It was a second-story window. Yeah. Nobody was standing outside of the window. Right. You know, I was just like, "Well, that's silly. That doesn't make sense." But then, like, got a bit paralysed and freaked. I was like, "All right, it's just hold up here. It's just sleep paralysis." And
man, I would kill to know what would come out if you had like hypnotherapy.
I think like from what I can tell, what I saw is what I got. That's what I believe. I don't think there was like because
you don't have a residual after feeling that doesn't match.
I was really scared from the alien one. The other ones were just more like nightmare situations, but I don't think there was anything happened. I don't think like anything happened with the alien one.
Yeah.
And I woke up, I got out of bed it was seamless of me waking up and getting out of bed from this dream and going downstairs. So it felt like one fluid sort of event, but it was clearly like I was paralysed and awake, but dreaming, and then really woke up and walked down.
Yeah.
But you said 15 minutes had passed, but I'd forgotten that. But I remember just a few. Yeah, a few spots. And
that's the thing. Like, he could have had missing time.
I don't think he had it. Well,
you can't trust yourself that much to say, well, I feel that.
Yeah. No, I did forget that, but I don't remember anything breaking the situation. Yeah. Like, I can say that for sure, but I can't be sure about the time.
Maybe they have good editors.
Yeah, maybe.
A nice crossfade.
Yeah. I don't think he did any like weird alien sex stuff or anything. So yeah,
those stories are crazy though.
Sex,
all over the world, all over the fucking world.
Yeah,
people, and the problem is that they're the people that have sex encounters with aliens. It's an embarrassing thing. It hits a few taboos.
Yeah, right.
They're the least likely to talk about it, but it's fucking common. There's a type of alien called a Nordic.
Ooh.
Right, they don't speak English, they communicate through their mind. They're the ones that kind of give you this sense, and there's a couple other species I've heard that do the same thing. You get this overwhelming feeling of love, like this kind of like
your classic love alien,
no strings attached love, and they'll be beautiful, even if they look alien-like. Something inside of you just goes, that is beautiful, and they'll look so sexy. And you just have sex with it, and a lot of people, they just keep getting abducted again and again, and they're fine with it, and they meet their half babies and stuff. They're presented them, and they see them growing up.
Either it's out of a movie or like I don't know where I'm remembering
Communion.
Yeah. I haven't seen that. I've seen the ads. I'm never watching that movie, man.
You should fucking watch it.
No, God.
Apparently it's a true story.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
The dude, he wrote this other book called The Key as well, where apparently he does like, I get the feeling that if aliens are real, they're feeding him like delusional kind of like self-grandeur type of things, because he kind of feels like he's a messenger. Like, there's this story about how he was at a book signing. He was traveling around doing like a book launch, and every now and then he'd come across like these people looking at him strangely, and they'll always be short or. And so one night at 3 a.m, he hears this rapping on his hotel door, and this strange looking short guy starts talking to him and basically gives him the whole fucking alien manifesto.
Yeah,
it's called The Key.
I've read about the teeny little guys. There's sort of like, there's the classic men in black guys who show up, and then there's like the little guys. I've read about the little guys. Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
But he kind of, the stories he tells, it's like they've made him feel like he's important and special.
Right.
When the things he actually says sounds like they're feeding him knowledge, like of shit that he wants to hear. It's always very convenient, the stuff that he kind of gets relayed. Like he claims to have an implant in his earlobe.
Yeah, right.
And he gets messages through a little slit in his vision, and words will appear to scroll across. And he wrote entire books based on the words scrolling across.
Well, hey, either he has a really good imagination enough to write books of this stuff, or he
believes it, man.
Or he's crazy, but then, he's still thinking this stuff up. Where's he pulling it from?
And he wrote a book about... He had to publish it himself because no one wanted to publish it.
Yeah.
The alien, in quotation marks, gave him the deepest insights into the mind and life of Hitler. So he wrote this book. It was based on Hitler. I think he used a pen, like a ghost name. And he even was able to get details down to what toothpaste Hitler used. And so he could see from what he said, everything. He got vindication on all these details.
Yeah, right. No shit.
The toothpaste that he used and the relationships that he had with certain people.
That's really interesting, because I saw a documentary 10 years ago,
right,
where, no one ever found the body of Hitler, but some guy, he confirmed pretty much that they found, I think, the teeth of him because of particular dental work. He had some bridge work done, and they found records of it, and they did it. It was pretty in depth.
In Argentina?
I don't know. Yeah. I can't remember. I was that crossed my mind, but I'm like, I don't know if it was there. Right. I think it was still in Europe, but they found, they may have debunked the South America thing, but
Well, there are definite war criminals there.
Oh yeah. There still is a village full of Germans there, isn't there?
And they're still quite Nazi as well.
Yeah.
So, dude, I want you to. Man, we've been talking for a while. You've been listening to the Fear of the Unknown podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media with all links in the description.